Hi, Miss Dorothy. Thanks for joining me live, and hello to those in the Facebook group who are catching us live. And drop us a hashtag if you are here with us live. If you catch this replay, hashtag replay. This is going to be an epic training. I'm super pumped. We're going to go over today my personal sales process that has helped me hit multiple six figures many years in a row using this specific process. It's helped clients over the last 3 years that I've been working with financial professionals, and in the last year generate over $5 million in revenue. And I'm going to talk more about this process in length during my mastermind, which Miss Dorothy is in. It's called Sell Your Way. And I also work this sales process with my one-to-one clients. So we will dive in. I'm going to just talk about, what we're going to dive in today and exactly what this is all about, because most of us who are out there selling want to do a very good job when it comes to bringing clients on and then, having a beautiful client experience. That's all well and good. The onboarding process is beautiful if you have a process for that. But if you are selling financial services and you're out there with your products and services and you feel like you're stuck and you're getting on calls and you're not converting calls and you're not closing sales, this is definitely a training for you. When a prospect comes to me specifically, one of the main things I love to ask them is, how many calls have you been on versus how many calls have you closed? Okay, there's a huge difference. I then ask, are you tracking those sales numbers? Because that's going to give us a really good indication of where your conversion rate is coming from. When I say conversion rate, that is the number of calls that you've been on divided by the number of calls that you have closed, and that's going to give you the percentage of what your rate is. I know my conversion rate sits right around 70 to 80%. I also have a built-in pre-qualification system, so I know whether or not I'm actually going to take the call, which eliminates a lot of people that will get on a call with me who are not a good fit. Different story for a different day, different training. So if you're on at least 5 to 10 calls, let's say a week or even a month as a financial expert, and you are not converting more than the industry standard, which is 20%. But in this case, if you're not converting more than 40% of your prospects, you actually don't have a leads problem. You have a sales processing problem. So you need a better sales process in order to convert anywhere, from 5, 10, 15, however many calls you're getting on per week, per month, however you're tracking that. If you're not tracking your leads and you don't know how many calls you're actually getting on versus how many are closing, that is also an issue. So, when I mention leads, and leads here is not the problem, but the sales process needs to be better, I want to give you some context. A lot of women that I work with get marketing and sales confused. And so I just want to break this down of what the differences are. So you're like, what does this mean? What is all this jargon that you're saying? Marketing informs and attracts leads and prospects to your business and to your services. And marketing is what you post online. You go to events, you know, give your marketing pitch to somebody, you tell them exactly who you are and what you do. All of that is marketing. Sales is, how can I position the value of what I'm selling when I'm on a call with somebody? Or in my pre-qualification process and in my sales process. So marketing, know, like, and trust, putting out posts, going to events, telling people who you are. Sales is about closing deals, positioning the value of your company and the solution that you provide to your prospects. Okay. So those are the two differences. Now, who cares, right? Why does this matter? Well, for one, sales is the lifeblood of our company, our businesses. And if we don't have prospects that we're converting, we don't have a business to stand on. We don't have anything that gives us income and goods for services exchange. So when clients decide, hey, I'm going to implement the permission process, this new sales process, my way into my business, and it actually starts to work for them, they see an increase in conversion rate. And I mentioned in the financial industry, specifically with advisors and even CPAs, as well as financial planners, the average close rate is 20%. So my goal in 90 days is to get you to 40% or more. Okay. When we focus on tweaking your sales process with specific questions that are directly focused on your ideal clients, your conversion rate is going to go up. However, a lot of people, specifically in these industries of finance, are still using what I call the old man model. So what you were taught in your firm, at your corporation, maybe you were taught by an old sales mentor, specific sales strategies, you're continuing to use them. It's been, you know, kind of overrun, like, let's focus on pain points the whole call, or let's only focus on the solution, whatever the case may be. So you've been using this over and over, and you're wondering why nothing has changed. And you're still stuck at the same conversion rate. You're still stuck at that 20, maybe 30%, or maybe you're getting on a ton of calls and none of them are converting. Until you make the decision to get different results, you're going to continue getting the same result over and over and over again, which is the definition of insanity. So why not try something completely different? My last point about this whole thing before we get into the sales process is, you know, if you are just worrying about marketing all the time, so posts, giving value in groups, going to events, but you don't fix your sales process, or you don't have a sales process, you are not going to be able to help more people, nor are you going to increase your income, and your business may fail. You know, I just want to put it kind of plainly that the sales process is the foundation of your business. Marketing comes second. I could go out and talk to 20 women today that are financial advisors, but if I don't know how to sell them the value or the solution of what I'm offering, I am just talking to people. I'm just telling them, hey, this is what I do, but I don't have a process. I don't take them through anything. I don't have a solution to provide them. And so they're going to be like, who cares what you do? It doesn't matter what you are offering. I don't see the value. because I'm not walking them through anything specific. Does that make sense? And if it does, drop me a yes. I'd love to know if this makes sense to you. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, without further ado, I'd like to get into my actual sales process. So these are specific questions, and I'm going to show you 5 steps. We're going to start at the 3rd step. But the 5 steps that I like to kind of give you a framework so that you have it. And that way you're not like, oh my gosh, what do I even say or do on my sales calls? I don't have a framework. I don't know what to ask, or stuck, and I'm not converting clients. So you can take notes as I kind of walk you through this, and share my screen. So we're going to start at number 3. Like I said, number 1 and number 2 is really about, building in that rapport, that connection with the client prior to getting into the sales conversation. So when we start at number 3, we're really trying to figure out, where is that person? Why do they hop on the call? What are they currently wanting to get out of this call right now? How long have they been, wanting to work with a bookkeeper? How long have they been filing taxes? What's their retirement vehicle situation right now? So we're trying to figure out, where are they currently? And then why are they coming to you? So number 4, what seems to be the problem? What is going on behind the scenes that they said, you know what, I need to hop on a call with Dorothy. I need to hop on a call with Brittany, because things are just not working the way that I want them to. So we're going to ask questions like, hey, I would love to know what's going on when it comes to signing clients. How long has that been a problem? If you're getting on calls, what seems to be the interaction that you're having with your ideal prospects? What's the conversation, right? So we can ask questions around that core problem. And ideally, in what I teach clients, you have a pre-qualification system. I teach this in my programs and my one-to-ones, where pre-qualification system, you're going to actually have the problem before you get on the call, so you know what you're dealing with. But you can also ask again, because it might bring up a deeper issue than what they addressed in the pre-qualification questions. So when it comes to our problem, what's causing this? Why do we have this issue? What's the impact it's having on, your income, maybe your team, if you have a team, your marriage, your children, what seems to be that core issue? And then these are just some further questions to ask. Why is it important for you to change this problem now? Why would you change it? What stopped you from, changing this 6 months ago? Why are you looking for something to help with you now? How bad has it gotten to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I might have to close up shop, right? So we want to get very specific on that core problem. Now, in between problem and number 5, solution, is what we call the gap. And the gap is exactly where our clients are not and where we want to take them. So in the case of you, Dorothy, your gap is, okay, my books are a mess. I haven't filed my taxes. And my solution is to hire you so you can help me with all of that. But the gap is, I don't even know, what my income is. I don't know where to start. I don't know what's even in my books, or, what to file under which category. And so people are going to be really confused when they come to you and they need your help to fix everything. And then from there, you get to assess whether or not it's a good fit. So when we talk about solution, we want our ideal prospect or client to paint the picture. Tell me, give me the vision of what it looks like to solve said problem. What's the outcome of solving that problem? How do you want to feel when you solve that problem? What are you looking for if you solve said problem? Right? Have you done anything to change this problem? Have you, worked with anybody else on this problem? Because we also want to know, are they going to be an issue themselves when we're working with them? If we solved said problem, how would life look on the other side? Paint me that picture. How does it make you feel? Right? We want them to show us, if we solved this issue together, how they're going to be on the other side of that rainbow. What's it going to feel like when their books are in order? They can see how much more money they've saved, or even how much more money they can make in their business with your help. If there's questions so far, you can drop them in the chat. You can drop them in the Facebook group chat as well. If anything's coming up. So far, so good. Give me a thumbs up if this is helpful. Awesome. Cool. These next two, I'll just scroll before we get to that one. Commitment. I think that commitment phase is 99% of the time going to serve you really well when you ask these type of questions. I ask it in a way of, so why do you want my help now? Or why is it time to make a change in your business now? Why now? Or why not put this off? Like, who really cares about said problem? You just care about it. If nobody else cares about it, why change it? So why is it important to you now? Why would you want to change it now? What's the big, deal here about fixing this now? Why not put it off? When you find out what that answer is, chances are they're going to bring you back into the problem. So again, furthering that gap between the problem and said solution that they mentioned. And if we can find out why they want to change, again, they're gonna bring up that problem. Well, this has been a problem for me for X amount of months or years or decades, and I just can't seem to fix it. So they're going further down the rabbit hole of that problem. And it's not our job on a sales call to fix the problem, because that's what our services are for. But because they're creating a deeper gap, what you can actually start to see is, how do my services fill those different gaps that they're bringing up, those different problems? So the commitment phase is very important, and it's going to be pretty much key when you're asking these different questions in your sales process. Now, last but not least, and most people skip this one because they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't, we don't need to bring them back into, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't happen? If you have a prospect that gets on and they barely know you, or they're really hesitant and they've brought up objections in the very beginning of the call, and let's say you've worked through those objections, totally different sales training as well. If we skip the consequence phase of the questions, we will not be driving urgency for them to see why what we're offering solves their problem and why they need it immediately, right? So we want our prospects to explore what it looks like not to take action. When we do that, chances are they're going to get motivated to want to either buy from us or maybe somebody else if that other person is implementing such a process as this. But if they don't explore their said failures or said problems, they're not going to take that action. And then when they come on as a client, they're not going to take action either. So, another point is if you can't personally own your failures, and failures is such a strong word, but what's going to grow you, if you can't own that and you're avoiding your failure, you're going to avoid success as well. So we want to bring them into what it looks like for them not to take action here, right? So what happens if you don't hit said solution? What happens if 6 months from now, you don't say yes to these services that I'm offering and you're still stuck? What does that do for your business? How does that make you feel? How does that affect, your livelihood, your income, all of these different things, okay? We always want to use said prospects language. We never want to put words in anyone's mouth. We're always going to be mirroring back exactly what they said to us. And if we're, getting vague answers, give vague answers back. No, we don't want to give vague answers back. In order to dig deeper into a vague answer, we could say something like, well, what do you mean by you want to feel good? What does that mean? Or what does it mean you want to increase your income? I'm not really sure what exactly that means. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper. Now, these 5 steps that I showed you, assessing the solution, the problem, the solution questions, the commitment questions, and the consequence questions are going to be freaking gold in your sales process. I understand that a lot of you already have a sales process, which is totally fine. But if you're not converting prospects to paid clients and your conversion rate is staying at 20%, that is a problem. Okay, so you need a different sales process, different questions, way to ask those questions. Not only that, but a pre-qualification system, languaging around the sales questions and process. And also, how do I get that client over the finish line? If they're, I don't know, let's just say this is the credit card, right? They have a credit card in hand. They're ready to buy from someone. But if you're not asking them these different specific questions around their business or their lifestyle or their bookkeeping or whatever it may be, chances are they're not going to cross that finish line because you're not asking these consequential questions or commitment questions that are going to help them get there. Okay, so when it comes time to presenting what it is that you're offering, they can't see the value because you didn't ask questions to them in the sales process that weren't valuable. Right? I'm going to say that again. When you go to present your offer, they're not going to see the value because you did not ask valuable sales questions in the sales process. One of the things that I love doing is helping my clients both individuals as well as the women that are entering into Sell Your Way Mastermind, is helping them create a sales process that's uniquely theirs. So what do I mean by that? If you know who your ideal client is, you know what their pain points are, you know what the solutions are that they're looking to achieve, what we're going to do is create a step-by-step process that you're going to help them get to those solutions and create, whether it's money out of those solutions, if you're an advisor or if you're a bookkeeper, how to get their books in order. So we're creating a very unique process when it comes to the offer, how to communicate that value of the solution of what you're offering. So that's one part of the business that I love a lot. The other part is what I just showed you, the actual sales process and the questions that you ask within the sales call, okay? And then the third is that pre-qualification system. So implementing that first sales process, as part of this, and then the actual sales questions that you're going to ask. The reason why I'm doing this training, which is a small smidge, little bite-sized piece of what I'm offering in Clients on Repeat Masterclass, which is on the next Thursday on the 13th at 12. I have the link for you guys. I'm going to be offering hot seat coaching so you can get a small bite-sized piece of what it looks like to implement some of these questions into your sales process, because not everyone even has a sales process, let alone, how to craft this. So I want to be able to help you design your sales process and then implement some of these questions into that and give you a little bite-sized piece of what it looks like to work in a container with me. Okay, so I just dropped the link here for you for Clients on Repeat. And this class is going to help you craft your message so that your clients are saying yes to your offerings or services or products, whatever it may be, depending on, what it is that you actually offer. And like I said, this sales process has helped my clients generate over $5 million in revenue from 2021 to 2022. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go in 2023. And also their conversion rate jumped from, I would say, about 30% to 60% on average while working in my containers. Yes, Miss Dorothy, you can ask questions. Go right ahead.
Oh, I can wait till you finish talking and then okay. With your questions, is there a specific number of questions in each category that we should be asking? Can we ask just one question out of each category, or we got to ask 2 or 3? Or
great question.
We just pick or do we pick which ones based on the way we like to sell?
Exactly. So you're not going to ask 15 different problem questions. You may ask 1 to 2. And the reason for that is you're trying to figure out, how do I get to the deep piece of that problem or solution? And you're going to pick the ones that make sense for you and your business. So this is about you selling the way that you want, not someone that's giving you the script and saying, this is exactly the question that you need to ask. You're going to craft that language. You're going to be the one that creates the question based on, the services and products that you provide. I'm giving you a framework. You're going to take it and run with it and then put your questions in there.
Will I be able to use those questions on every call or every person, or will it change, or will I have to change based on that individual? Will I have to change the questions?
I don't change questions. The only thing that I change is, when a prospect comes on, they have a different problem and they have a different solution. So I'm using their language to kind of play back and forth inside the call. But as far as the actual question, I use the same ones consistently. Yeah. And it becomes more of a conversation because you're getting comfortable asking said questions. You're not like, where's my script? I need to ask it this way. And you're not staring down at a piece of paper, but it's more of this back and forth exchange because you already know what you're going to ask. And that's also key to this as well, is knowing, I know what comes next, right? I already know the next question that I have planned to ask this person. Now, there's caveats. Someone might get stuck on their problem, but there's ways to mitigate that. There's ways for you to say at the beginning of the call, okay, Tracy, we have 30 minutes together. We're not going to go into anybody's story here. We're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it fun. Can I get you to raise your hand or say yes to not going into your story? Is that okay? Great. Awesome. And so if she does go into story, you have permission to say, hey, we agreed not to do this, right? So it keeps the flow going. Great questions. Awesome. Beautiful. Any other questions, Dorothy? Any other questions from anybody else if you're watching? All right. Well, I dropped the clients on repeat class for next week into the Facebook chat. That is going to be about a 75-minute call, going over the scripts, going over your unique sales message and how you can start to use some of this sales process in your own way and be able to start using these questions when you're on sales calls. And let's see if we can get some momentum of increasing that conversion rate for you right off the bat from, a 75-minute class. I think it's really important for all of us to understand what our conversion rate is. So if you're not tracking that now, I suggest you start looking, 30, 60 days before today and looking to see how many calls have I been on, how many of those turned into clients, where's my gap, what's my conversion rate. If it's less than 40%, then we really need to pay attention to the sales process. If it's over 40%, great. Why isn't it at 60? Why isn't it at 80? Why are we not closing at 100%? What are some small tweaks that we can make in the process in order to, get that prospect to say yes right off the bat? And last thing I want to say about this is if you're taking more than 3 sales calls, you do not have a leads issue, you have a sales process problem. You should not be on more than 3 calls to close a prospect. Okay. And if you are, that is an issue. And that's something that we'll work on, especially for you, Dorothy. We're going to work on that in the Sell Your Way Mastermind because I've heard it time and time again. I'm getting on 6 calls to close the client. And then on the 6th call, they tell me no, or, it's taken me 12 different calls for this person to finally commit. No, we're going to cut that down to 3 calls with very specific language and very specific questions to ask them. So on that even 2nd call or even 1st call, they're a go or they're a no. It's one or the other. We're not dragging this on. So yeah, and that's it. That's what I've got for you today. If you have questions, comments, please drop them in the Facebook group, and I will continue doing these trainings for as long as I can. I love doing them. Please come join us live here on Zoom so you get that interaction and that, real-time feel for these trainings and maybe get some hot seat coaching and questions answered. So, all right. Bye, Facebook group.